When and why was the IFTCC formed? What work does the organization do on a day-to-day basis?
So after a conference in Germany, a group of people, practitioners and those interested in this topic from all over the world decided that we needed to formalize an organization. And so that's what we did. The name came some months later, but in principle it was decided in 2015. On a day-to-day basis, we do a lot of advocacy work. So, for example, we've been speaking to the New Zealand government, we've submitted to the Scottish government, to the German government, we're about to send something to the Norwegian government. It's all about defending the right and the freedom of people to live away from things like homosexuality or gender confusion. We may be connecting people who struggle in this area with counselors, and we generally just try to support the freedom of people who want to live in a different way.
For the fourth time, you are holding your annual conference in Hungary. Why Hungary?
Actually, this is the 7th conference, and you're right, I think this is the 4th conference in Hungary. Well, we want to be accessible to the Eastern European nations. If we hold the conference in the West, then that really means that people from the East find it very difficult to come to the West and to pay the expense of travel and the cost of the conference. But we also appreciate Hungary and what it has represented and stood for over the years. And so we're happy and comfortable to be in this nation, and we're very grateful for the facilities that we have here, which we find excellent.
We see it that there is a continuous discrediting of the sexual orientation change effort in mainstream media and academic discourse. What is the reason for this?
Well, I think there are ideological differences between what we do and say and what those who would affirm homosexuality. I do believe it's an ideological difference or a clash of worldviews, different worldviews. But the problem is LGBT affirming therapists have now become the dominant group in most mental health bodies throughout certainly Western Europe. That means that they not only control those who can receive training, they also control those who can successfully submit research publications. They control who can get research money. So what we have is the development of monocultures that focus on only one point of view. And we would argue that what we need to see is ideological diversity so that there are checks and balances, and that different opinions can come under the scrutiny of people who hold different points of view. So we feel what we are seeing now is viewpoint discrimination, and this is very worrying.
How is the international legal battle going? In which European countries are the SOCE therapies banned?
Well, at the moment, I think we have seen it in Switzerland, haven't we? We've seen it in Malta, we've seen it in Germany. If I look at the United States, if I have understood the situation there are less and less bans by state. And it looks to me that the LGBT lobby are instead trying to go towards a federal ban because they're not being successful in all the states. They are sometimes going to cities and legislative councils within those cities and trying to get bans put in place. So there's a kind of soft approach in that. But if I have understood my colleagues from the US clearly enough, it looks as though there's been somewhat of a decline in terms of the success the LGBT have in imposing bans at state level throughout the country. So I'm not sure how many states have a ban, but they are not increasing at the same rate as they have been.
If a person is seeking therapy or counseling, how can they contact you?
Well, we're very accessible by email. We do have to screen every contact that we have, so we will certainly do what we can to find out who it is who is contacting us, because unfortunately we do get a proportion of people who seem to be coming because they have an interest in researching the topic, or they are actually media people who want to explore this area. So they can just contact us at iftcc.org, info@iftcc.org, and we would certainly engage with them and do what we could to connect them with people who could help them.
The Hungarian government defend the young people against LGBT propaganda with the Child Protecting Act. What do you think about this law?
Well, I think they are to be commended that they do that. I think that was that done in other nations, we wouldn't be facing the problem that we are today. So we would be supportive of that, and supportive of any nation that takes care of its children.
If I right, you are from the UK, from Northern Ireland. What is the current situation of these LGBT issues in the UK?
So the United Kingdom has, for the last 3 years, been promising to ban what they call conversion therapy, or in other words, therapeutic choice. And we are waiting now, and it is expected within the next few months, that the government will announce a consultation before they make plans to ban conversion therapy. The issue at the moment is that they haven't defined it, so we don't know exactly what it is that they want to ban. But the threat is real. We think it's a grave mistake that they are taking if they ban the right and freedom to access help. We feel people need to be free to do that. Of course, we should all be against poor practice and bad therapy. There's no issue there. We would all want to make sure that what is done safely and properly. But to ban a person's right to go in the direction that they choose to go in, we think is a grave mistake, and we don't actually think that it is sustainable.